the door, flashes and smokes put behind it. Maluka is going to be tested as he gets smoked out, anticipating that second flashbang. Turns his back, but nothing's forthcoming. They actually dart straight past him to vent dive, and I'm not sure he necessarily heard that. Boomich is already down on B, and Perfecto's making moves around ramp.
Yeah, that's a really odd passage of play there. Electronic, though, seems to be keeping his eye out for pushes in the lobby and outside. Boomich, in the meantime, does get his opening pick. Pesadillo does get caught out here behind the double stack. He's good for one, but immediately traded, which is great news for NaVi, who now have control of lower site. They have the 4-on-3. They have PRT low on HP, and now the bomb is down.
Bomb is down. 3 players remain, but PRT is a bullet away from death. Skulls and Maluk, try as they may, have got to try and rummage a path outside of these close-knit claustrophobic angles, and they're already watching at the top side as well. Skull spots Simple, takes him down, pivots back in. Player in decon is low and has now been fragged out. Smoking off the double doors. They've got a smoke that they can put down and potentially get that defuse kit in amongst all the action, though Electronic, with his double Glock headshot, puts this round to bed. But that was a little bit sloppy from NaVi at the end.
Yeah, like you said, it did kind of start spiraling a little bit towards the end. Lost a couple of more players than maybe you would have expected, but they still wind up closing out the round with 2 players standing. They're able to go ahead and get onto his MAC-10s and Galeals. We are going to see TeamOne go for the force up of the Deagles and the Scout on Maluk. See if they can't try to win one early and force kind of an early scrap for economic control.
Tons of utility, taking no prisoners on this A hit, but the flashbang does yield the first frag. PRT actually spins around, pivots in for a second one, and Skull's posted up in heaven, rains down some righteous fury with his Deagle. Suddenly, Electronic and Simple, last 2 of NaVi standing, they do have control over the bomb, but they're isolated. Simple's already vent dove down, leaving Electronic to try and make some chaos and mayhem occur up in lobby. But he gets sideswiped from mobs. That's another rifle that trades hands. And this rifle is completely and utterly gone smashed across the rocks dust. Like, unless Simple can somehow clutch this, which he can't, TeamOne have just battered NaVi.
Yeah, it was really down to PRT's initial couple of Eagle kills. He was playing on top the hut. He didn't get found out by Boomich, who was the first man in, because he was totally blind for the entire round, trying to just run through an incendiary and try to force a play. And in the midst of all of that, you wind up seeing PRT pop off a couple of kills before he finally gets stamped out. And so TeamOne able to get a very early advantage on the man count, and then able to just kind of control the round from there. So their early buy-up does pan out, and now you have NaVi trying to do the same in their own right. They're on the deco with the single cut on Simple.
It's a gun that definitely can have impact, but not necessarily against full rifle-wearing opposition. Lack of head armor could be a way forward on the other weapons, although they're actually all Deagles, so you can scratch that. But already NaVi have crossed 2 secret, 2 players down here. So downstairs, whether it's been through vents or outside control, has been a consistent theme and factor from NaVi, and one that TeamOne will need to keep an eye on.
Yeah, that is certainly true, as we do see NaVi continue to try to challenge towards outside. They spotted Skulls up here below heaven. They haven't been able to find him out yet. In the meanwhile, he's done some significant damage to Electronic, and Perfecto's also taken a couple of chunks. But Luke has been spotted in Big Garage as well. So NaVi have some intel, but they're running out of space, and now they are getting clamped down upon. A couple of kills go the way of TeamOne. Perfecto able to get one back with the Deagle there, but again, they still don't really have much control of anything. Now they're getting flanked by Pesadillo, and this round seems to be pretty much dusted.
Looking more and more likely that will be the case. Perfecto, all he can really do is take a player or 2 down with him, but that's not going to be happening today. And so NaVi do concede. TeamOne off to a cracking start on their CT side.
Yeah, not bad. Getting that early victory on the force up on round 2 has set themselves up for a chance to really build a nice lead early here. They've cracked NaVi's economy. NaVi will now have to go on essentially the full save. They have maybe a couple of flashes and a couple of P250s that might come out there. The 1 Deagle and armor on Simple. But yeah, this should be a cleanup round if you're TeamOne. This should be where you kind of plant your flag.
Boomich already downstairs on vent once again. Every round, even when they've been unsuccessful, they've got to be sight. Maybe not with the bomb, but considering they had Glocks and some Deagles thrown in the mix and very little buy, This is a great outcome. Simple slightly off on his Deagle lane, and Boomich has decided he's not really that interested in defending the bomb after all. He's looking for some frags, but nothing's really forthcoming.
See if he can't get a knife on someone coming up the vent is kind of his goal right now. I like that strategy from NaVi, though. It was actually a well-designed kind of sacrifice at ramp to prevent a rotation so that Boomich could get the plant, right? I mean, he's the one who vent dies, so as long as no one chases him, he's getting down the site. And then when they sent those Glocks out at the turnpike, the people from ramp kind of had to respect that a little bit, wanted to stick around, and it freed up that timing for Boomich to actually get into lower site uncontested for the plant for the extra economy. So again, a well-designed little round from NaVi to ensure they would have better funds coming into this, as they do have the full AKs and utility. But TeamOne, again, to their credit, at least able to kind of shake off the first map and start establishing their defense here on Nuke.
Exactly. I assume when you are the heavy underdogs, you know, there is a lack of pressure, and if you do get battered in the first map, it's sort of whatever. It's part of the course. Electronic, though, straight through, gets one, instantly traded back, and Pesadillo gets the better of Boomich. Great turn of events. NaVi slipping away again. They still have 3 healthy players remaining. Pesadillo is incredibly low on 7 HP, and there's not a huge amount of utility on Skulls or Pesadillo, but TeamOne, they have the advantage again.
Absolutely the case. Pesadillo being low on health, though, is maybe a vulnerable target that NaVi can try to sniff out, but if TeamOne keep him cloaked, then it's going to be tough for NaVi. They're going to have Maluk still controlling that ramp room area. The rest can kind of focus up on upper and just keeping tabs on whether there is some type of outer cross. Utility being exchanged outside here. Mostly from flamie's end. The rest of NaVi still gathered up inside lobby position. flamie trying to sneak through towards Mini. He's been caught, however, so now they're limited on the angles they can take as they do come into upper. Simple gets a great headshot there. And now, all of a sudden, NaVi actually have a little bit of hope, Vince.
Yeah, most of the CTs have funneled their way off A site, so 2 players coming up lobby and 1 in heaven. 20 seconds could prove to be the final nail in the coffin, though, because one area will go unchecked. Simple, 1 on 3, 12 seconds to his name. And there is Maluk. Seems to have been his kryptonite in these last couple of maps. Every time these two come up against each other, Maluk is victorious.
Yeah, Maluk had a great time in there on that lobby flank, knowing that they were trying to go for a mini and trying to go for an outer pinch. He knew that they likely were making movements towards Hut and Squeaky to try to get in towards upper, so he slips in behind there. And while the site itself wasn't covered, they had a player in heaven, making sure that there was no backstab from outside, and they had that flank coming in through lobby, and it wound up being perfect. So good job from TeamOne. They're rotating very effectively, and they're coordinating their positioning quite well. And now, again, we see NaVi, this time on the Tech 9 bio, trying to just do something fast towards outside. They have the smoke for the cross towards Secret. We'll see if they can make use of it.
Pesadillo offering an ear to his teammates to relay that information. That safety net alarm bell has been rung. They know B site has the target painted on it, as is so often been the case already from NaVi. A 4-1 start, though, after winning the pistol. NaVi have slipped and fallen, and TeamOne have been exceptionally good.
Yeah.
Mobs now has to try and hold the line. Tech Knights, Deagle, bit of utility, and plenty of Kevlar across the board. The first shot's missed out. Mobs does hold on. Minimal damage inflicted, but now is coming under more duress and more fire. And Maluk will step up. He delivers the fatal blow to Electronic, goes down to the hands of Boomich. And now they can pick up the fallen bomb. This is very potentially a bare minimum of a post plant, but Pesadillo round the corner looks to deny it, and Simple has to try and tee off in a 1-on-3. He has time, he has an AWP and a Deagle by his side. All the tools are there for the master craftsman to pull out yet another clutch. And although he nearly lands the shot, it's not quite there. He's being whittled down to 33 HP. And in doing so, TeamOne may have done enough, but he may take another swing at it. Up into the vents he moves, hoping that one of the CTs overextends and gives themselves away for free. Comes back in, but the timing will not be taking away TeamOne. It's a nice effort, but they take a 5-1 lead.
Yeah, they got a little bit scrappy. NaVi were starting to make a little bit of headway into that lower site. They caught Maluk blindsided, had too many targets to focus on at once. They were starting to overwhelm that defense in place, but Pesadillo able to make that rotation, stop that bomb plant, put Simple in a very tough 1v3, and while he was able to take one with him, not able to figure out the rest. Full buys, though, now going to be in effect for both teams. TeamOne, again, though, building up that big lead. So this is a great opportunity for NaVi to try to keep this thing under control. If Team One can win this round, they could be a little bit of reverse deja vu from Train coming up here soon.
That's a very good point. They've really turned the screws onto NaVi. Boomich already down. Finally, they get another purchase in. Instantly weakened. Electronic spray on point. 2 players fall to his wake. And the AK opens up outside control. flamie, an important duel up against PRT, and he comes out ahead. I think he got dinked, but it was through the wall. So it took away all of that damage. Mobs may get the drop onto Electronic, who may not be anticipating a 3rd player to be here, and indeed, that will be the case. But it's still a 3-on-2 and advantage to the NaVi.
Yeah, it's a small victory to be won. Electron had so much impact with the pick, had such a great timing up close at outer. Perfecto takes down Mob, so now only Skull is left standing. He gets control of hut position. He's trying to maybe make a maneuver in through lobby. He will bypass flamie, perhaps, who was in Squeaky Hall, but timing could catch him in the back. No, he is able to get away, so he might get the jump on someone, as they might have thought that flamie would have spotted Skulls if he was coming this direction, but as I say, that Simple seems to have vision on this angle, and so Skull's chances at clutching are pretty slim at this point. Even with the kit, just doesn't seem like he's going to have a chance here unless he can catch Simple and get in. Maybe then he does spot Simple, great dink onto him, but still so much he has to cover.
Does have a bit of utility and a little bit of time, but he has to get onto the site right now, and he realizes it. I respect that. I respect that he had the aggression and the courage to go in the first place, but also the clarity to pull the plug when he knew the round was done. A bit of damage across, and again, NaVi's economy not in great shape. That one loss of life in the 1v3 will end up costing them dearly for this one.
Yeah, it's one of those things where if he felt like he needed to win that round, he maybe could have like smoked the bomb and tried to force a defuse through, but they're not really in a position to have to do that, right? They have a solid lead. Their economy is okay for the most part. They know that they have NaVi up against the ropes, so they can reset them once more. So, a good call, like you said, is to kind of back off, keep that utility, keep that firepower coming into the next round. But that's a big victory for NaVi to kind of stop this from spiraling out of control as Boomich continues to try to be that aggressor here in these Squeaky Halls. This time a counter incendiary will slow him from trying to go for the vent dive, and that's a big pick from a Luke. He's doing a great job moving this op around and finding opportunities all across the map.
And where it costs NaVi isn't necessarily in their weapons right now, but you look at what they have in their bank balance. At the end of this round, if they're unsuccessful, 3 players have very little to play with. So that is going to be something that catches up with them if they're not careful. And with Maluk, as you completely spot on highlighted, being so unpredictable, being so mobile with the AWP, getting outside control, TeamOne are in an excellent position again.
Yeah, just to give you an update as well, Cloud9 and Main Brazil went into overtime on map 1 in that best of 3. So again, Navi's fate very much in the balance based on the result of that game, as well as what takes place the rest of the way here against TeamOne. flamie finding an opening pick there on the pace of Delo, certainly helping NaVi out on this round as the clock starts to get to that point where you need to start making some decisions on where you want to end this round at. Obviously, the 4-on-4 somewhat favors NaVi as the defense might get spread a bit thin, but Mouse is a great position here. It's going to come down to timing. He does get caught, but he's not finished off, and indeed he will return fire for the frag with flamie. Did find Maluk in the process, and so NaVi's still very much in this hunt.
Yeah, 3-on-3, but the B site once again is open and available for NaVi to plant on. And they're doing their due diligence, just locking down these angles, molotoving off the double doors. Mobs get spotted by flamie, who was already low, so finished off with only a bullet. And in doing so, TeamOne, they have to save. So NaVi, they've had a lot of jitters. They've had a lot of shaky rounds and moments, shall we say. But it seems like maybe they're finally starting to find that stability that we expected.
Yeah, that was a big victory, not only to win it, but to also do it fairly clean, right? Like you said, their economy is certainly not in the best of shape. Denying, or excuse me, kind of limiting the amount of rebuying they have to do was certainly the added step on top of victory that they needed there to really start mounting the comeback here on their T-side Nuke. And so, solid round there. They're starting to finally get some good things going for them towards outside. They're starting to get some picks. They're starting to cause some disruption, and it's kind of unlocking some of the other areas on the map at the same time. Also, Boomich has done a great job continuing to put pressure on that upper side through Squeaky, and just kind of the defense kind of spread thin. flamie also, that's a big pick on Malbs there to kind of finalize the round for NaVi. Just again, also great use of the Molotov to kind of block off that stairwell to even get flamie in that position safely. So again, you see little bits and pieces of good coordination and utility usage here from NaVi, which is certainly a good sign and exactly what they need to be doing to, again, keep their chances alive somewhat for a playoff spot. Again, that's not entirely up to this result. It's also up to them needing one of Gambit or Cloud9 to lose, which those matches are still ongoing on the other streams. But at least we're seeing them come together here on Nuke to give them that chance at the 2-0 and to at least do their part of it.
Yeah, and Gambit don't seem to be in a losing kind of mindset.
No.
They're already 1-0 up and 2-1
Yes.
on the second map, whereas MIBR have just taken the lead in overtime.
Yep.
So maybe Cloud9 is that possibility for NaVi fans.
Yeah, they need the Colossus to fall, Vince.
They certainly do. Whereas, for the time being, though, they also have to make sure they don't take their eyes off the prize and slip and slide away from TeamOne. TeamOne are more than capable of punishing NaVi if they lose concentration. Smoke's now being deployed towards main. Only 2 weapons, which are the 2 saved guns from the previous round, alongside Deagle and P250, but pretty much no grenades other than a flashbang. And surely this is where NaVi just come out, get a nice, clean, convincing round, and bounce back in with just a 1-round deficit.
That's their hope, that's for sure. And all fans around would definitely love to see that come to fruition. TeamOne trying to play spoiler. They do have an AK in a little bit of a tricky position that could be a problem if unchecked. PRT, but Electronic, he's aware of it, but he still goes down. He does take PRT down to 9 HP, and now upper is being taken. They know that means the rotation for upper is going to be a little bit slower with that much of an outside push, and they are able to clear out that upper site very well. So this looks like NaVi should be, you know, dotting the I's and crossing the T's of the 4th round.
Yep, will be another save to TeamOne. They're looking to try and hold on to these 2 AKs. Maluk, of course, the more expendable player, has a flashbang and could potentially even try and get in for some shenanigans with exit frags. See if he can take an AK or even that juicy AWP in the hands of Simple away. But they are only setting up for exits. There's no interest in going for the site, understandably. Want to keep these 2 AKs in play. Maluk flash on over, goes for the peak, does at least draw out, and they have got an extra AK outside, actually. So now this is a really solid turn of events. Now, seeing the USP potentially Simple, they may want to try and chase this one down, and if they do, this is where things could get a little bit sketchy for NaVi. So I'm glad to see them all pull the plug, go through lobby together, and make sure they don't fall into this trap.
Yeah, I mean, obviously you hate that TeamOne get that extra weapon going forward, but again, you don't really have the money to burn to be trying to chase down those weapons. You want to make sure that you're just getting your rounds, piecing together a decent half, which they are certainly doing. TeamOne is going to be on the full buy this round, sure, but if NaVi can claim victory here, then they would force a save out of TeamOne, and they could go ahead and take their lead in the game. So a lot on the line in this next one.
Oh yeah, this is a huge round. This is definitely a make or break call, I would say, for TeamOne. They can take this, they can really start to steamroll ahead. They're going to be getting straight onto the site. That's a weakened spray from Electronic, who is flashbang through, but flamie makes the most of it. Takes down Maluk straight afterwards. Boomich gets a flash to the face, and he has to pull the plug. So a 1-for-1 trade, but again, outside control is falling the way of the T's. This time, though, a secret player has made a move in, but Pesadello's head has been removed.
Yeah, that was a big catch from flamie. That second kill on Pesadello means everything for NaVi. That is really maybe the X factor of the round. As NaVi are doing a great job, like doing this kind of split pressure play, where they're putting aggression on both, you know, upper site through squeaky halls, as well as constantly having presence towards outside. And it's kind of forcing the defensive bit spread thin. And with NaVi winning most of their duels, that they're really just kind of taking these early round situations by storm. They keep getting these advantages. Now they have the 4-on-3. PRT does get aggressive in lobby, does get one, but not going to get out of there. Great response from NaVi to understand the situation and get that one back. Well, they expect another defense.
They do. Simple's watching it. He's seen the script. He's been there so many times. Morbs does get the death from above. 28 seconds to play with and instantly dips down into ramp. He's got a perfect read of the situation. This is a clutchable round now for Morbs, but he may have missed his chance. Open find start away the time. Still somehow alive, but flamie, who is really playing very well in this best of three. It has to be highlighted. A player that's been under a lot of scrutiny. 4 kills in the round with 328 damage.
Yeah, and those first two, I feel like, were the ones that you really have to say won NaVi the round, especially that one. That is such a huge catch. NaVi were just out in front from that point forward. flamie put them in position, and they were able to finish the job with flamie's own hands being the run to finish the page. And now they finally got what they've been seeking. Go out of TeamOne, a chance at an easier round, a chance to finally grab a lead here on Nuke, and they are doing so very rapidly, Vince. They already have the 5-on-3. Seems like this one is pretty much going by the book.
Nuke is going to try his hand and go for that haymaker into lobby, but instead it's jabbed to the face with Perfecto's AK. In doing so, as you said, the lead should be there for the taking, and it's somewhat a bit of a repeat performance from Train, where TeamOne had an excellent start to their CT half, but ultimately it fell short, and NaVi just came out all guns blazing. We will have another purchase from TeamOne, but for me, this is another very crucial round.
Yeah, they need this to hang around. You have to feel with the loss here, they're right back to very low money, and that's a chance for NaVi to jump up 8-5 and maybe even keep a double-digit T side in the cards. I mean, obviously that's still a ways off, but again, that is kind of what might be on the horizon here. TeamOne can't put up a stop here. They have lost several rounds in a row at this point. They're starting to get whittled away at. They're going to try to go for something a little bit different here. So they might be trying to send an op up through with Pesadillo this time towards Secret, as he is indeed running up the back halls. Op is coming. Electronic might get caught. Actually, no, he holds back because he knows the pressure's there and he wants to just try to stop them from getting back halls control.
Goes in, and Pesadillo puts it down center mass. Eviscerates Electronic, banishes him for the rest of the round. Now mollies are finding their way towards the site. Boomich, slightly different angle. Same idea for outside control. Making sure blue is dealt with. Now pops down. Pushing outside. This allows him to wrap in towards hell and heaven, and Maluk knows it. He has to change up his angles, using that smoke as a bit of sanctuary. And this position may go unchecked. It may be untenable for NaVi to realize that this is coming into play. And even though they're a player behind, though, their positions are so powerful and so deadly, and it puts TeamOne into awkward spots across the map.
Yeah, that was really good Molotov use just to clear out a lot of these little corners and angles to get them a little bit of space. Boomich now, gets caught by Maluk from below. I thought maybe he had a chance there, but Maluk finds a great timing. And that's going to get the 5-on-3 now to TeamOne with time dwindling here. NaVi still don't really have the deeper map control they need to actually take a site. Yeah, they have Perfecto and Big Garage. Yeah, they still have access to lobby, but they do not have the manpower. Now they're just going to try to force a play towards upper.
Entries, they need them right now. flamie could be the man for the job. It's simple with the AWP that runs straight out. 15 seconds to play with. They still need to get across to the site. And their skulls. Double spray. And Simple is making a beeline for the site downstairs. It will be post-plant, but 30 HP to his name. 1-on-4 coming up against him. Vence, the first player, comes in. No scoped out of his boots. His skulls. But fortunately, Maluk was there to avenge his fallen teammate. 6-6.
Big round victory for TeamOne, and big they did it relatively clean. Only losing 2 players on the round, so they'll be able to save some weapons, start building up a little bit of money for the last bit of this half. Obviously, plenty of funds there for NaVi. Hell, Simple's almost maxed out at 16K, or just under at 15.3, so they have money for the rest of the half, no problem. Still a chance, though, to maybe reset TeamOne a bit here with the victory in this round. TeamOne not out of the woods yet with that victory. They're still a little bit fragile in spending power, but are going to have a double up coming into this round. Had a big victory in the previous, starting to finally establish themselves again in this half. They had a great early start, but it's been a run from NaVi. At least they finally had an answer for it, that one.
Even with that last round going the way of TeamOne, though, the bulk of these last 4 or 5 have certainly been NaVi's. But Maluk up close, gets 1 nearly seconds. Unfortunate not to land the shot onto Perfecto, but Skulls comes in and mobs with the fast flank. Puts down Simple in the back of the head. The timing going against NaVi this occasion, and now Electronic alongside flamie trying to make something happen outside of Squeaky. flamie comes back in, big headshot delivered on. Pesadillo has the angle covered though, and flamie never really had a chance. Electronic's had a bit of a quiet game so far, down on 5 frags and 49 ADR. This would be a big moment for him to shine, but he has been put down easily and shattered. TeamOne regain the lead.
Indeed they do, and they finally kind of get themselves out of that hole that they were in as far as money went. So They're setting themselves up nicely for the rest of the half. They won a couple now convincingly. And so TeamOne starting to piece together a solid defense here on Nuke. This is great news for TeamOne. Again, while they're out of the playoff picture, they're kind of fighting for some pride and fighting to show that, hey, we belong here. After having a rough ride through the rest of Group C. We're going to see another quick bit of utility pressure here towards upper from NaVi. Counter incendiary will slow down NaVi from making any forward progress onto the upper site, though. Smoke will further delay. Electronic might catch Pesadillo, though, here. And indeed, he does spot him, but he can't connect the dots. Pesadillo with the big kill, and he's able to get away on top of it. That is grim for NaVi to catch it, but not be able to do anything about it.
Now Boomich has to try and pick up the pieces, whereas he was very powerful on train. He, alongside Electronic, have been eerily quiet here on Nuke. And this has been very indicative of NaVi as of late. Their T sides have struggled, their CT sides have looked rock solid. I suppose that's something to put in the back of your mind as they go for the vent dive. The timing was against PRT, but Mobs was already in there. They'd read this situation so many times. NaVi in the first 5 rounds were vent diving almost every single round. So it's a great rotation, great read from TeamOne.
Yeah, them getting these opening picks gives them a lot more flexibility on how they move across the map the rest of the way. But that's a great little bait jump out for Simple being an op shot there onto Maluk. The problem is that they're not getting any more progress than that. Mavs and Pesadillo able to work together to finish off that round. And so TeamOne, again, they're starting to kind of strain Navi's playbook a bit. Like, now it's up to NaVi to adjust. They weren't really able to those last few rounds, and now it's left them with a pretty low buy considering it's the final round of the half. A couple of Tech 9s, a Galil and AK, Boomich to get utility will also likely not really have much in play other than upgrade a pistol. Indeed, he will only have the Deagle. So it's looking like TeamOne might still pull off a big half here on their CT side, despite the NaVi recovery in the middle of the half.
Yeah, at one point it was looking like double digits were on the horizon for NaVi, and yet TeamOne could be one away from that mark. Also, kills spread, only 3 between top and bottom of TeamOne. It's much more vast over on the side of NaVi. Electronic coming outside. It's really only flamie that's been shining bright. But expect NaVi to have a very different go of it when the roles are reversed. And speak of the devil himself, he has struck onto PRT, vent dives down, and he's expecting that maybe a fast rotation will be right behind him. That's another AK that's now traded hands, and TeamOne, actually a player behind, could be conceding this round. Pesadillo's spray not quite there to deliver, but actually gets 2 kills from this. I thought he had no chance, and now it's allowed that retrieval to come into play through hell. On the L bend, they put down NaVi, although Pesadillo and Maluk low, it's a 3-on-3.
Indeed. Bomb still in possession, though, here of NaVi. They still have some time to play with. They have Electronic posted up, watching some type of mini push from Secret, but now Maluk puts his op in a dangerous place. There's a big gap in that smoke. He has to jump across. He's able to do it, so they will slip a player behind, but that information has been passed. But luckily, flamie has been kind of lurking around here the entire time. He's going to break some glass, put some pressure. There is a player just ahead of him, though. That's Pesadillo. He's able to get one, but Electronic is very quick to trade, and so this will allow a bomb plant for NaVi.
Electronic and Boomich up against Skulls and Maluk. The HP does favor them. The firepower also favors NaVi in these positions. Maluk has the AWP, but no reason to peek him at this point. The bomb is planted out in the open, and there's a flash and a smoke, but not much else on the collective belt of TeamOne. Boomich goes down first. Electronic gets perforated straight afterwards from the M4. TeamOne successfully get the retake and successfully take the first half 9-6. We'll find out if they can convert after this break. maybe, just maybe, we could be headed to a third map after all.
Yeah, also to give you another update, again, just to remind you, this is not just up to NaVi's result here, whether or not they make playoffs. It's also them having to rely on some other things going their way. And so far, one thing might be going their way. Made in Brazil did take the first map on Cloud9 and their best of 3 on overtime on Vertigo. NaVi would need one of Gambit or Cloud9 to lose today to have a chance at a playoff spot. And so Cloud9 are maybe one step towards doing that for NaVi. We'll have to keep you posted as the rest of that series plays out.
For the here and now, though, NaVi still need to get the job done. Do concede by 3 as they trail, but they can easily bounce back if this second pistol goes in their way. Flashes and mollies, but they're going to line up for Electronic. Only gets one in the meanwhile, though, and PRT puts him down pretty quickly afterwards. Simple gets aggressive with the CZ, straight through on Squeaky, takes down his adversary, and then pulls the plug afterwards. Pasadell around the back, though, takes them both down with ease. In a 1-on-4, he's half the odds, but still needs to get onto the site where the bomb is currently there, waiting for him, and the timing nearly works against him. He could be getting flanked in as well from Vents. He realizes this, but he's been tagged down to 31 HP. There's still a minute to play with, but flamie, he is not slowing down. Had an excellent first half and is picking up the slack again.
Yeah, big round from him with 2 kills. Also, obviously, some credit has to go to Simple. Just being so aggressive with that CZ. It's just something you can't really account for, but something that Simple can pull off time and time again. It makes him one of the best players in the world, is because of what he can do that other players would just dream of being able to get away with. And so that will close the gap just a bit in favor of NaVi here, as they will be able to get the MP9s rolling forward against a full save of TeamOne. Likely should wither away in this round, you'd have to imagine.
Mobs with the Glockable weapons has put Electronic down. We're making sure it's not a clear-cut round, at least, with the MP9s just ripping and shredding and building up a ton of cash. Electronic has to replenish his buy, and there was also a dink down onto Boomich, who's going to get aggressed on from multiple angles, but does hold the line alongside Perfecto, and Simple picks up the pieces. So 2 casualties did come down, and that's going to be relatively costly, all things considered.
Yeah, I mean, TeamOne did make a little bit of progress despite having no investment in that round, so that is something to kind of note of. But at the same time, still plenty of firepower being rolled into this round here for NaVi. They were able to, tidy up elsewhere and not really bleed out too much. And a lot of times you're going to be trying to roll for these MP9s anyhow, so it doesn't really impact things too much. So still a good chance at a tie. We did have a player drop from TeamOne, so hopefully we can get him back here shortly and keep progressing on this technical pause. As TeamOne should be buying up this round with that full save, and they have plenty of cash to get the AKs and armor and utility out. We have our player back on the server, so pause can be lifted. AKs will be purchased. And so TeamOne will try to put their best foot forward a round earlier.
Well, here we go. Mobs is now back on the server. NaVi are back into winning ways. It's a tantalizing prospect between these two teams. There's so much on the line. And NaVi, you normally call this like a bonus round, but when you look at their funds, I don't even think we could call it that, to be fair, Dust. Like, this is pretty much just a full-on purchase at this stage. They don't have really much in surplus. They're going to be trying to get out aggressively. Mobs, so aggressive, but all the kills after him go the way firmly of NaVi. And Pasadello's already down to 36. He gets torn down a peg. Looking to try and get some more aggression, but walks out into the double stack. And it's Simple's AUG that will have the final word. Maluk may very well put down flamie, but it has no idea as to how much trouble he's currently in, because the bomb is dropped on the A site, and NaVi is circling it like vultures.
Yeah, it's one of those rounds that's like a bottle rocket that's a dud. You light it on fire, you see the initial sparks, and you start to get excited, and then it just doesn't go anywhere. As NaVi absolutely clamped down on that upper site. In the blink of an eye, they had shut down the attack, and now they have tied up the game 9 apiece. Money not really there for TeamOne this round. They will have to take probably a halfway approach, like maybe some tech lines and utility at most, but other than that, shouldn't be spending too much. They try to get the full buy in the next round, so NaVi likely will be taking the lead here, 10-9, in just a few moments.
Yeah, it's looking more and more likely with every passing second that NaVi Once again, relying on their CT side to get them out of trouble. Simple did actually land that no-scope. Skull's fortunate to survive that one, does get finished off straight away afterwards, and with the kills going down in position, even if the AWP is down, someone should be able to retrieve it. Boomich has been sent on that task, but it's actually going to be flamie that picks it up for Simple instead. So TeamOne, they got a kill, but they did concede the round.
Yeah, kind of to be expected, but now they're back onto that full buy with AKs aplenty, plenty of utility to go with it. Like you said, though, Simple is going to have the AWP in his hands, and he's now just a step behind flamie on frag count. Rest of the team, not that far behind, to be honest. Had a really tight distribution as well on Train. Tank can be said for TeamOne, though, here on Nuke. They're starting to get some good production out the full lineup, and definitely a much closer affair so far on Nuke than what we saw on Train. TeamOne trying to maybe poke and prod towards outside. They'll have to deal with Electronic, who's trying to play in a little bit of a tricky position up close here on by Red.
TeamOne slowing it down somewhat, but there's now going to be a flurry of grenades firing their way on towards the hut. Molotovs, flashes, smokes, everything tossed in. But NaVi have got that blockade set up. The impenetrable defense, the fortress, has been put into place again. And considering that they tossed nearly everything they had onto the site and they've only lost casualties, they've only taken pain. Now they've got a smoke and flash left. They're going to try and do what they can to limp their way towards the site, but they're being culled where they stand. Yes, PRT gets a frag, and maybe even a second onto Electronic if he's not careful. There's not really much he can do about this, to be fair. He needs someone to come and help him out. Now, flamie is the man to do the job.
He's jumping over bullets.
He's literally dodging bullets left and right. Offblading comes in to clean up the rest, and although he'll go down, look, Electronic, the MVP of the round.
I'm more of a neutral source, obviously, as a commentator, despite your beliefs. But I was really rooting for Electronic there. That's a dangerous game of jump rope he was playing. That's not the kind that you want to be involved with. But aside from that bit of comedy, it is NaVi just putting up a stout defense. Exactly what they need to be doing to get their victory here and keep themselves in playoff contention. But TeamOne still able to muster up a decent buy here. It does mean one player has to go for a Galil, and their utility is sparse, Vince. That is another big problem with the round like this. They're relying purely on firepower, and if they lose this, they will have to save. That's where NaVi can build up a massive lead.
Oh yeah, they're on the fast track to securing map 2, and they nearly lined up for a collateral. Simple. Probably couldn't believe his eyes for a second as he pulled the trigger. He gets one, does get counted instantly by Molbs. And they've already quickly maneuvered their way into Garage, but Electronic is here. Molbs picks up a second. Do they expect Electronic to be behind Blue? And this could be the ace up the sleeve for NaVi. But he's still pretty sure that Garage is going to be aggressed on. They have two players watching the same position, so now Electronic can turn his attention elsewhere. He's given his position away. PRT! That Ferrari peak headshot is sublime. TeamOne do at least pick up another round and put the pressure back on NaVi.
Yeah, it seemed like you said there was a bit of time there where NaVi had two players kind of watching the same thing, and it allowed TeamOne a little bit of flexibility to kind of maneuver around and find the picks they needed, and they do come up with them. So now they are going to stay on NaVi's heels. They jump up to 10. They'll greet NaVi in the double digits club, but they will also take a tactical timeout, and you can understand why. You know, it's one of those situations where, yes, they won, but if they were to take the reset here, NaVi could start steaming out in front again. They don't have that much money to replenish. So they have to be kind of careful with their spending here. And they also want to make sure that they keep themselves in contention. You know, they want to be able to follow up, build some momentum. They also know if they get a victory here, they could punish NaVi's economy, force them to save. So big round for TeamOne to try to make a statement and try to keep a third map potential on as a possibility.
Inferno would be our third playground if they can do just that. But that will feel like so far in the distance. And they're here and now. Pesadello nearly through the smoke, perforates it, and Pierce is in for the first frag. Boomich should tread very, very lightly indeed. and that'll force him into more of a passive angle. There's a
Ooh.
slight gap in this smoke, though, and Electronic can make the most of it. PRT may realize it, but still comes out second best. And Electronic can turn tail and find sanctuary in the garage.
Yeah, that was a risky play from Electronic. The gap kind of goes both ways, the way that they were maneuvering around it, but he did come out on top, as you said. Pesadillo also has taken a bit of damage, but obviously we know that Boomich is out there. Basically, you could breathe on him and he would be in the grave with the amount of HP he has left to put to use. We do see some utility being spit towards upper side to try to maybe put some pressure there, but they're actually trying to go for a ramp room control. Now, flamie is still here, and he throws down a well-timed incendiary. They're actually running through it, and they're getting caught up by, and Simple's also there to greet them. This is a big problem for TeamOne. They have to bounce away and now try their hand at upper, but there's already a good defense in place.
That's a madness to me. They tried to push that incendiary. They lost so much from that. Electronic puts the bullets down range and secures the kill onto Maluk, but Perfecto is probably just a couple seconds away from getting a double. I say that, and Mobs just dry peaks, takes his head clean off. It's a great cost to his HP, though, but he's gone in for another one. Wasn't anticipating Boomich at the top of Hut, and the round will fall into place.
Yeah, that was tough because they used a lot of utility at upper to try to, put pressure there, keep people in place, deny the ability for NaVi to feel comfortable rotating. But then they got caught up at ramp, and so when they have to go back to upper, that utility isn't there anymore to actually push a player off of the top of Hut and actually try to execute the site. And so that really came back to haunt them there. They're still able to get a buy up, though, in this round, though it does mean PRT had to go for the Galil, and again, their utility is going to be a bit limited. Still plenty to work with, though, to be fair. Still have been showing us some good rounds here and there on this T side, so still certainly in contention on this map.
With one, tries to transition into that second spray, and his spray was sloppy at the end. Electronic, though, really gets to drop onto multiple players. Simple at the back of the site gets one, but just overwhelmed and swarmed by T's will finally meet his demise, and, well, they turn up the pace, they turn up the heat. It's more than enough to deal with NaVi, and I agree, that was a sloppy round.
Yeah, it's one of those rounds where, like, credit where credit's due on TeamOne for, being decisive and using their utility appropriately and, having good spacing and being willing to go out on their sword and fight. But, I mean, a sloppy spray transfer inside a Hut, Electronic making a really risky peek up the vent. I can understand sort of why he wanted to be there to help kind of Simple, who was going to get overwhelmed without some type of support system, but it just seems like they kept throwing haymakers at TeamOne and they just kept missing. And as TeamOne were able to duck and weave underneath them, they were able to deal their own body blows and find an 11th round. Again, not letting NaVi's lead ever get too much. And now the other big problem is that NaVi don't have the money. They finally got caught on their economy. And that gives TeamOne a great chance at tying this thing up. We will see a CZ for Electronic. flamie has, of course, the AK that was saved over. Deagle for Boomich and Simple. A little bit of utility. So there's a couple of things to put to use, but TeamOne is certainly in the driver's seat of this round.
And potentially even in the driver's seat of the map. Because behind this could be a flurry of extra rounds as well. Boomich had the right idea, just slightly off on the timing. Incendiary behind it into Squeaky, which has been extinguished instantly. HG up and over, but they don't check Hut. Doesn't matter. Boomich misses his opportunity. These last two rounds are going to be one that he wants to forget real quick. And NaVi will be paying the price in full as a result. It's hard to see how they can get back onto the site with a 3v5 deficit.
That is very, very true. It does seem like saving this AK and utility would be probably the choice at this point that they have to make. I'm sure it's not one that they're happy about, but it's one that's required of this scenario, as their money is still very low. And so TeamOne will tie up the game, and now they have a huge chance to go ahead and take a lead, with NaVi's funds still being quite grim. So TeamOne might just do it, Vince. They might just put Inferno in the cards.
They've certainly dialed it in. 4 rounds away from taking us in that position. And NaVi, saving in as they did with the AK, have some decisions to make. I don't expect to see a buy coming in here, Dust. I simply think that would be lunacy.
Why not, Vince? Watch the world burn. I'm down. I mean, if you think about it, flamie could drop. He's got an AK. You know, do it. Okay, fine. Don't do it. That's fine.
Definitely don't want to write NaVi off with this kind of a buy, but it's more the case of how these last few rounds have been swinging in, and it's another very aggressive round from TeamOne. They've perfectly pincered straight through any other gun than the USP, and maybe some kills have been forthcoming, but the AK has now shown itself. Pushing through is flamie. Round the back towards lobby, but the AWP is up to the task. And it's looking good for TeamOne to take the lead on the home stretch of Nuke. And what a shock this would be. This has been a safe paradise for NaVi for the longest time, and yet TeamOne, they're on the brink of doing it.
Yes, they are, Vince. To be fair, NaVi haven't really had much to say about it these last couple of rounds, considering what they've had to work with firepower and utility-wise. They should be back to where they need to be next round in that regard. As simple as trying to look for some exits here. We'll find one. Finds another, actually, as well. Not able to reclaim anything else, though. And obviously, there's plenty of funds for TeamOne, so they're not too bothered by that. And this is it, really. This is NaVi's last chance, you have to feel like. Without this, they would be force buying the rest of the game, and it would be pretty dire as far as what they'd have at their disposal to try to put a stop to TeamOne here. So this is really the do or die round, at least for this map. Obviously, NaVi having won train in dominant fashion had that safety net available to them of a third map on Inferno. But you'd really expect NaVi to get their work done here. When you think about their map pool, and you think about how the first map played out, and you think about TeamOne's performance overall in the EPL, you would have thought, considering that this is probably NaVi's best map over the last 6 months, if we're honest, as far as just like win rate, who they've beaten, the type of winning streaks they've had on the map at different points in time throughout the last few months, that this would be, you know, where it all ends for TeamOne. But hold the phone, because now TeamOne are out in front.
Yeah, when they've typically conceded, it's been against sort of top 10 teams. You know,
Yes.
you're looking at the Furious, the Phases, etc. It's not really against teams of, no disrespect to Team1, but of their caliber. So this would be quite the surprise, and take nothing away from Team1. They have been excellent. Already grenades being tossed out aplenty on both teams, but that's going to favor the T's. There's not a great deal for NaVi, and firepower is definitely an issue. flamie is waiting in ramp, may get peaked from multiple players. Timing nearly works against him. He throws the smoke in, and it can at least survive a little bit longer, not simple to getting close, but that flash actually lands in his own eyes.
Yeah, he was trying to see if he could get one and get out, but unavailable to do so. So ramp control will be taken by TeamOne. They will be able to use this as a foundation to build the rest of the round. They've also taken the AWP of Simple down elsewhere on the map, probably towards outside. He had a PRT, and he's not done yet, perhaps, but no electronic finally silences him. It equals it back up to a 4-on-4, but again, TeamOne still have this ramp control they can use to threaten under heaven, to threaten that lower site, to spread NaVi's defense thin. Electronic trying to reclaim heaven so he and Perfecto can defend upper, while flamie, the main defender at lower site, has been spotted.
Dillo's been tagged down low, as has Molbs, and that puts him on the back foot. Red light shone in their eyes. The hand placed firmly in the face of TeamOne, and they've now got to try and outmaneuver with 30 seconds. It was looking so good for TeamOne, and now it's looking pretty bleak as they come up heaven slowly. Electronic will show no chill. No prisoners taken. Only bullets barrage down onto the oncoming T's. They'll try and wrap around lobby at the meanwhile. There's flashes coming in. It's a good flash at that. It does afford them a bit of safe passage, but Perfecto is already in prime position to strike this one down. Last man standing is mobbed, but not for much longer. And although NaVi do win, it's a cost of 3 players. Their economy is still not in great shape.
No, that's a very good point. Like, the long-term game here for NaVi is still very much in a dark place. TeamOne do concede their lead back to a tie, but again, they're the ones that have the bigger economic power here. Now, it's not by much, don't get me wrong. After this full rebuy, a couple of their players are still, you know, well under that $2,000 range, so it's not too different a footing in that regard. Big round from NaVi to keep themselves here hanging on Nuke. What does TeamOne do in response? Trying to just kind of play this out slow in default. PRT able to get some access towards outside. though not really endangering Secret or Mini just yet.
Understandably, a very tentative and tense round with both teams pensively weighing their options. Electronic down in Garage, just watching for information that Hut doesn't get pushed into, or Main, I should say, pardon me. And in the meanwhile, Simple's moved down to Vents with the AWP, is waiting with the knife, expecting the Vent dive could be coming in any second now. It's not forthcoming. TeamOne not interested.
Yeah, they're kind of taking their time here. They're once again trying to make that play for ramp control. Again, they've pushed flamie off position and towards lower side. This is very much a replay of what we saw in the previous round, but it's starting to unravel the same way. The defense from NaVi, while they're conceding that ramp room, it's calculated. And they're able to cover elsewhere just fine. They're able to get that early man advantage thanks to Electronics sniffing out PRT, probably towards outside if I had to guess based on the patterns we've seen in previous rounds. Pesadillo, though, big catch onto Boomich. They start unlocking this upper sight. Skulls on the Perfecto. That's going to reinforce it. And all of a sudden, TeamOne, they have a way to plant, and they've put NaVi in a spot where they do not feel comfortable probably trying to go for the retake here. They will have to concede this round, save these M4s. But now they're not even carrying that over. Electronic's been caught by Malbs, and this is getting quite grim for NaVi. TeamOne doing such a great job to kind of erase the memories of map 1, to erase the comeback effort NaVi posted up in the first half, and to just keep their composure and keep on grinding out rounds. And now they're up 14-13 and have NaVi up against the ropes as far as what they have to utilize going forward.
I am so shocked that this is actually coming to fruition. TeamOne, so clean on the pushes, but there's a bit of sloppiness again seeping in, like Boomich in a bit of an off angle. Doesn't really spot the push for free through on Squeaky, gets punished. Horrifically punished, and that puts even more pressure on Perfecto, who is stuck at the back of the site, basically waiting in. So, tactical timeout has been called from TeamOne, as they want to make sure that they put this to bed quickly.
Oh yeah, they're trying to get this map, trying to close this out, trying to, again, while they're not in playoff picture, they're trying to fight for a bit of pride. Again, trying to fight that they belong in this league after getting kind of knocked around in the earlier series. They've got a couple of maps here and there under their belts, but they haven't really been able to make much of a splash, and being able to go toe-to-toe with a team like NaVi like this is certainly, you know, something to use to build the future with. And so you can certainly say they're trying to put their best efforts into this right now, and NaVi, you know, trying to scrap together what they can to try to stop TeamOne from map point, but as you can see, it's not ideal. Electronic on a FAMAS, Perfecto and Boomich, not sure what they're going to have. Looks like just a deagle for Boomich and Perfecto. So yeah, this is far from what they'd love to have.
Bit of outside flirtation is being thrown in from TeamOne. Feeling it out with PRT. He's been their consistent outside player, as he said, and Electronics typically had his number. Again, keep in mind that NaVi had the advantage in that last round before everything just kind of came apart at the seams. And they do have Simple outside with his AWP. If PRT was to peek, likely will be a dead man, and he has a good idea, Simple, as to where he's currently positioned. So, PRT does go for that peek. He should go down. Electronic, in the meanwhile, though, puts his FAMAS to use, and it's Maluk that has been sent sprawling out.
Yeah, that's a big opening pick. Now, they had this last time. They still wound up succumbing to an upper take from T1 due to a great entry through Squeaky Hall from Pesadillo. And again, TeamOne looking to test the waters at upper, but Boomich was there early this time inside the hut. But again, they're getting the favorable trades. Luckily, Electronic gets that kill on Mini, and that gives NaVi some hope thanks to flamie's efforts as well.
Pesadillo 1-on-3 to try and clutch this one down and really hurt NaVi. Put the beating onto them. Won't be happening. Simple holds his line, as do NaVi. A mixed purchase somehow sticks the landing. And although TeamOne have enough economy to bounce right back in themselves, we are looking to go the distance.
Yes. I feel like it wouldn't be us doing a gig together events without potential for overtime being there. Does seem to be kind of our forte, if we're honest. If people out there have followed our careers, we've done quite a bit of extra rounds. And I guess, you know, it kind of makes up the average, Vince, with the first map having gone by so fast. We are going to see NaVi trying to slow down any type of fast pushes, and Electronic like up close. Outer finds his man and more. 2 big kills from Electronic.
It's looking like TeamOne may have run out of a bit of steam. Finally, NaVi's superior firepower is rising to the top, but so is Skulls with the AK. Beautiful headshot delivered first class onto Simple. And Electronic's also gone down. So the two heavy hitters are currently silenced. They still have flamie to contend with, though. He's been no slouch on 20 frags.
Yeah, they got the bomb in their position as well, but PRT bleeding out is going to be a problem. Clock still giving them plenty of time to work things out, but NaVi, you know, they have good positioning. They have lower covered here by Boomich watching for a back halls push. They have a player keeping an eye on ramp. They have Perfecto playing smart over towards Heaven, not committing to anything too much, so they'll be able to get kind of an early alert and then work together, even if it means having to concede the site itself. They have all the kits they need, as well as, you know, nades for nade stacking, all that good stuff. flamie, though, takes out PRT, so it may not even come to that.
Spot the shoulder around the corner, but flamie will not miss the mark. 22 kills, equalizing Simple, and TeamOne, who put all of their savings into that round, now basically have nothing left to play with.
Right when you thought TeamOne were threatening NaVi, it does seem the wind is well and truly out of their sails. They've been left adrift here in turbulent waters. And so NaVi seemingly doing their part, Vince, to stay in playoff contention. Again, those other series are still going on, though. There's other determining factors. And we see flamie, though, lighting up 2 more, Vince. It's looking like the end.
Simple missing a shot that you'd expect him to land. Reputation preceding him, but the slow peak doesn't really fare well for the T's. They just swarm Simple, though. So finally, the talisman has been laid to rest. Could be the last time in this map, unless Skulls and Maluk can clutch out this 2-on-3. They at least have a slight reprieve of being able to retrieve the bomb and head towards the B site, where there are players waiting for them, though. So there's no easy way forward. NaVi have a good read of the situation.
Yeah, they do. They have coverage here, like you said, with that M4 of Boomich playing towards that control side, so he will be able to spot them. That smoke will also kind of sell what's happening here. Boomich trying to put the pressure to make his presence known, so they can't just safely go for the plant. They have to feel like they could get peaked. He's trying to buy time for a rotation, however, is his long-term goal. There's still a lot of time left here, maybe even a way to vent up, but no, they will plant lower. Now it's going to come down to the NaVi retake with man advantage.
Luke in a good position. I think that scope in gave his spot away. Allowed Boomich to stay alive a little bit longer. Electronic making sure Shadow is clear. Molotov does just that. Player down to the right-hand side. There's only a certain amount of spots at this point that players could be residing in. NaVi should be checking their angles, but Skull spins around for 2 out of nowhere, and now it comes down to Perfecto, who connects the headshot downtown onto Maluk and saves the round and takes NaVi to a 2-0. We'll be headed to a break. When you rejoin us, we'll be breaking down all of that madness.